let's get to the meat and potatoes of
Let's do it.
This episode here, Spencer. We've got some incredible football that we had this weekend, and there are plenty of games that I am super excited to get into. Why don't we just jump right in, Spencer?
Please.
Let's see. Let's take a little bit of a look-see here. First game that we have on our docket, we have got the Bengals and 49ers. I don't know about you, Spencer, but my thoughts when I was watching this game was that maybe this is going to be just the cycle every year, is that Joe Burrow is going to have a few bad games to start the year, and then around, week 6 is when he really turns it on. They end up, 12-5, 11-7, or 11-6, and healthily march into the playoffs. But Joe Burrow is officially back, in my opinion. This was an incredible performance, and also a not so stellar performance from Mr. Brock Purdy, as we have discussed many times on the show. We have seen some problems potentially. They've now dropped 3 in a row. But there was also this Brett Coleman tweet where he showed this 5-week stretch where he goes, I think the 49ers could lose, 4 or 5 of these games, and they've dropped 3 of them already. So if you're a guru such as Brett Coleman, then maybe you might have seen it coming more than we did. But I was very excited to see this. I thought Burrow played incredibly well. Tyler Boyd finally getting involved in a way that he has not been up to this point. Still have CMC continuing on his mission to be one of the absolute best in the league to do it, tying the consecutive game with a touchdown record at 17 consecutive NFL games, which is bonkers. Yeah. That is insane.
I don't know if it's wise. That that's the case, but
right.
It's certainly still impressive. No doubt about it.
One thing I think you have to be really happy about as well, I mean, if you're a 49ers fan, is the fact that CMC has remained healthy and he's being as productive as he is. He has not missed any time up to this point, if I'm not mistaken.
For now.
So a lot of football left. But yeah, very, very fun game to watch. In the first quarter, I noticed that there was a lot of Tyler Boyd touches. And there was many plays that Burrow made that I thought were very nice. There were some pocket escapes where, clearly the calf is feeling much better than it was. And it was just a much better performance overall. We've got some footage of this game for you too. But Spencer, what are your thoughts on this 49ers downfall?
Well, my opening thoughts would be echoing what you said about Joe Burrow. I mean, it was phenomenal what he was doing out there on the field. He was a man possessed in this game. Just an unbelievable. I didn't include clips of it because I had another point to make, but unbelievable scramble drills that he was running just to escape pressure, just juking out defenders and rolling. And there were a couple of runs where he ran with reckless abandon, just not even afraid of getting the punishment for it. And he was punished on a few of those. But I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'm happy to see that as a Bengals fan, considering his health is already spotty coming into the season. But That being said, he does look to be back to the Joe Burrow we know and love. Finally. that was really interesting. And then the other thing, which I think would transition us well into our clips, is that, Brock Purdy, I have to say, I want to come to his defense a bit in this game. I really think Brock Purdy stepped up in this game. I think he heard the criticism, certainly. I don't know how he couldn't. But at the end of the day, there were a few times in this game where he kind of shut me up in terms of some of the things I've been saying in terms of his downfield passing. I think there were at least 3 passes in this game, specifically 2 deep ones to Kittle, who finished with a really nice game here. And then another, I believe, to Ayuk, where, he had a couple that he really threaded, and they were not intermediate throws. They were downfield throws. So that's good to see. It wasn't enough to win this game. But that being said, I have no doubt when they get their Debo Samuel back and they get their Trent Williams
Hmm.
back, everything should go back to where it was to some degree. And
Certainly.
it's as if you were a Niners fan, I'm not certainly, but Niners fans should be encouraged by what they saw from Purdy in this
Right.
game, in my opinion. And we'll get to it. The turnovers are problematic, and it's been a bit of a theme. But let's get into the clip off of that because I have a lot of thoughts to voice on this.
Sure. All right. All right, Spencer, we've got some more game footage for you here. This is the interception that Brock Purdy threw to Pratt. I remember watching this game live, and it just made very little sense to me. I thought it was almost like a strip, from the angle that had it on the first go around. It seems like a clear, like little dump off to. Let me go back here a little bit. This is the angle right here. It looks like he would even almost maybe like trying to throw it away. But that is not what happened.
No,
Pratt was able to
I
make
don't
a.
think it was a throwaway. I believe it's Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah,
In
he is
fact,
trying to get it to the running back there.
yeah,
It looked to me when I was first watching it like it might have been like a throwaway almost. It was a very weird like bang bang play when I saw it live. But even watching it back here, um, what are you even looking at? I mean, what a play from Pratt. Heads up.
certainly some uncharacteristic indecision from Brock Purdy. I think that's one of the biggest strengths to his game is how decisive he plays. He always knows with where
Right.
he wants to go with the ball and what he's doing. But this one, as he rolls out, he's doing a bit of freelancing, trying to make something happen on the fly and pays the price. But as you see here, Jermaine Pratt rolls perfectly with the plate, stays very patient, stays active in blocking off that passing lane. He sees it forming as it goes. And I've said in the past, Jermaine Pratt is a top of the line linebacker. It was a huge get for them to bring him back as he was a free agent this season. But really, this is why I said I'll be the first to criticize Purdy when he deserves it. But to me, I'm totally fine with the play design here. In fact, I think this play works quite like a charm. Most times they run it, but in this situation, Pratt is just on his P's and Q's and makes one hell of a play to reach up and snag that as Purdy tries to float it over him. I think that was really the mistake that Purdy made, and this is maybe a criticism that's valid to say with Purdy. Not the tallest stature as a quarterback, and
Right.
on top of that, changing those arm angles to try and float this pass over with enough speed to where it can get home on time and be caught. That's a really challenging throw to make. This is a Patrick Mahomes-esque throw that not a lot of
Right.
quarterbacks can really make in this situation. And then the stature thing on top of that, I think it really played a role in why this ball got picked off.
I mean, just a hell of a play from Pratt. I mean, this angle here, even when he's got a scope from the very beginning, even from the play fake, and then like you said, it sees the passing lane develop. He's doing a really good job covering Mitchell and putting pressure on Purdy in that situation. Like you said, just that little bit of indecisiveness. And Purdy is honestly very lucky that this didn't turn into a pick six.
Oh,
if, if
100%.
if he kept his balance a little bit more, maybe if he caught it a little more cleanly, this was a touchdown all day long.
Mm.
Yeah, really really nice play from Pratt. It's really great to see the Bengals defense, especially somebody in the front seven, because we've had a lot of issues with their secondary play up to this point. But it's really nice to see, especially in a game like this, when you're on the road and you get a guy in the front seven making a hell of a play to go get that football, and that was a really big play in a really big moment, and you really love to see it. You really love to see it on Pratt's part, and Purdy with just a little bit of. That's the first time I think, Spencer, I've seen him be truly indecisive, where he just didn't know where he wanted to go with the football, made the decision maybe a second or two too late. But it's those kind of mistakes that could turn into points on the other end of the field. So he's very lucky to get away with just a pick here.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, it's a designed rollout. So they got they got the look they wanted. It's just that, it's such a savvy veteran play from Pratt. You see him here. He's not pursuing Purdy at all.
Right.
He initially blocks off and holds the edge so that Purdy doesn't have the option to scramble for more yards here, because
Right.
that is an option. But instead, he plays the ball. He could have very well chased forward and tried to get the sack in this situation, but he knew the situation. He knew the back was behind him and played the ball in space. Rather, it's just a very, very smart play from Jermaine Pratt here.
100%. And what's interesting too, Spencer, is this almost looks to me that this is where we can really begin to tell that Mike McDaniel is of the Kyle Shanahan tree, so to speak. This looks very, very similar to me to a play that the Dolphins run a lot, where they've got Tyreek in motion sort of as a distraction. They get somebody in the shallow, and then they kind of hit that wheel route. They love, love, love to do that. That's one of the bang bang plays in down there in Miami. We see something clearly that Kyle Shanahan also was wanting to implement, or maybe had passed on to young Mike. But I think the difference here is that, just the personnel wise, I don't think that these are the type of guys to be able to make that play as consistently as this. And also really great job on the secondary's part to take away anything over the top to force Purdy down, so that edge that Pratt set was able to be held. Maybe not dump the ball off somewhere else. Just very nice defense, red zone defense here by the Bengals, and really nice play by Pratt. All right, moving on to the next clip here. We've got another pick.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So the thing here, Ryan, that stood out to me is this is much more on Purdy.
Right.
It's a great play by Logan Wilson. I will say, Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson are one of those top end linebacker duos. We talked about it a bit before. I don't think they're kind of in the same really tier as like the Warner Greenlaw one necessarily, or the Ravens duo as well with Queen and Roquan. But that being said, Purdy here, I just don't know what he's looking at. Logan Wilson rolls with this play. He's right in front of that receiver the entire time. And the thing I noticed looking at this play, particularly with Purdy, look at his body language. Look where his head is turned. This is kind of a young quarterback error you see frequently. He is dead locked in on that read across the middle of the field. He doesn't look.
You mean this one here with Juwan Jennings?
Yeah. He. Well, really either. I mean, I think he's reading between the two, but he already knows who he's going to, and he's totally advertising to
just
the defense,
staring it down. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Purdy, he's going to have his young concerns. He's going to have kind of boneheaded rookie plays like this, but yeah, this one is much, much more on Purdy. Hell of a play by Logan Wilson. He's a great player, and he made the play. But what I will say is they don't feign a blitz with Logan Wilson. He's really step for step with this route the whole way, and I think Purdy just kind of had a brain fart kind of moment, frankly.
Right. Yeah, it's just also very good coverage. I mean, even if you take this still right here, I'm not even sure where you dump this ball off, to be frank. I mean, this middle of the field here, this is just a mess of, the safety coming down. Even then, I mean, you've got somebody lurking on the check down here as well. I don't really even know where you throw this ball. I mean, maybe really, really well timed. You can get this ball maybe up over here. But it's just excellent coverage. It's maybe in a moment, because this was at the near the end of the game. This was right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, playing down. Maybe a little bit of Purdy being a little unfamiliar with the situation of having to pass the ball downfield to come back, to come back in the game. So
he's certainly used to playing with a lead, and
yeah, exactly. So maybe it's
go ahead.
Yeah, maybe it's just one of those things where it's just an unfamiliar situation, right? Like there have been not a lot of moments where he's had to play from behind. So in situations like this, maybe he's not as quick to make good judgment calls with the football, because this is really just sticky coverage.
Yeah, it's a bit of a side effect, Ryan, that And then on top of the fact that you aren't fielding the same offensive threats that you're used to fielding, and this is kind of the side effect of what occurs when you don't have those wide open reads on every play. When Purdy needs to identify where to go with the ball, and there's always that option there, he usually finds it.
Right.
That's what's so uncharacteristic about this, and I think it may have to do with the fact that the Bengals really tightened up on the Niners once they got that lead, and it was a lot harder for them to move the ball late in these situations when the defense kind of was able to pin their ears back, get after Purdy. They knew that they were going to need to throw the ball to get back in this, and yeah, I mean, just very odd to see him stare down the read to that degree, but
100%. I mean, even you can see the safety back here just completely cheating up on this because everybody on that side of the ball knows exactly where it's going because Purdy didn't go through his reads. I mean, the only other place I think you maybe dump this ball off is to Kittle down here. But again, in situations where you're down, one way to lose the crowd, so to speak, is to just be Johnny check down. But there's nowhere else to go with this ball. I mean, the only other thing I could think of is there's a lot of green grass here. If this is some sort of man or cover two, this middle of the field is just wide open. Maybe you take off and run, get a few yards to get something out of nothing instead of just throwing it into coverage. But yeah, this was a very rare instance where I think it was just bad decision making.
Well, they don't even appear to really have a spy on Purdy, and that's I did say
This
I
will
was
be a good
coming
angle.
to. Yeah, I did say I was coming to his defense a bit in this game, and what I would say is, he did a really, really good job of escaping pressure and like extending plays in this as well. I mean, him and Burrow were kind of in a competition to see who could have the most ridiculous slither out of pressure. You see that front four.
Right.
I mean, they have him boxed in pretty well. I don't know where he should escape to necessarily as the play progresses. Maybe he could roll right there, but they had him pretty well covered up and dead to rights, and I'm not really sure he could have even got out on the run to throw this ball away either.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is you do have 57 down here who's covering this check down that valve to Kittle, but if he could get out, I mean, even if you can sneak through here at some point, but you got to be quick with the decision. You have to make reads in order to make that determination. You have to go 1, 2, 3, not there, go. You know what I mean? You can't
Exactly.
stare down one guy. No, everybody knows exactly where the football is going because if you're not making a progression, then you don't know to take off. But I mean, in cover two or in man coverage, look at the middle of this field, Spencer. I mean, take what you can get, take what they can give you. It's just one of those rookie mistakes. Even though Purdy's not technically a rookie, but yeah, just a very rare instance of some poor decision making that we're not used to seeing. That if they don't get that short up, is going to lead to more close games like this, where it's maybe decided by a score or two, and it's going to come down to some points scored off of the picks or the turnovers.
No doubt about it.
All right, yeah. So that was the Bengals 49ers game for you. Yeah, a really great win on the road for the Bengals. I think getting back to what you said earlier to start this our conversation on this one, Purdy did play well. There was one of those very famous like no 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 yes plays that some quarterbacks have to Kittle, where Purdy had to escape the pocket, ran to the side of the field, and made a dot of a throw
On a
back
rope.
on a rope over back to George Kittle across his body. Really well done. I think they both played well. It's just that Purdy doesn't have a lot of experience playing from behind, playing with some adversity. So now that he's seeing maybe the other side of that coin a little bit.
Yeah, all things considered, Ryan, that's the main reason I said, I'm weirdly enough, I'm in here coming to Purdy's defense because I know people are going to trash him for the turnovers in this game, but to be in a adverse situation as you described it, sure, you turn the ball over twice, but as we established, that Pratt interception was just a bit of a freakish play from the linebacker, and I think a little bit less Purdy's fault. It wasn't the greatest decision to throw it, sure, but it was a low likelihood a chance that he would have made that play, I would think, and I can live with that if I'm a Niners fan watching Purdy in this game. But at the end of the day, you eclipse 365 yards against a very quality Bengals defense. We did say that, they have secondary concerns. That's fair. But overall, relatively encouraging performance from Purdy, if you ask me, even though they didn't come away with the win.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, just taking a look at the stats here. Burrow, man, 28 for 32. I don't think he missed a throw until like the third quarter or something. Joe Mixon had a very good day on the ground as well, averaging 5.4 yards a carry.
He had
Jamar
a
Chase.
sick catch in the red zone where he got
Yes.
absolutely smacked by like 3 dudes and
Yep.
somehow held on to it.
Held on to that thing. Yeah, Jamar Chase, 10 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins getting more involved in, Tyler Boyd being more involved than we're used to seeing as well. And then Andre Iosivas with a nice little touchdown. Iosivas must be Greek. I had never heard of this guy. I'm not going to lie to you. Until he caught that touchdown, I was like, never seen him before in my life.
I've heard of him.
Oh, you've heard of him? Okay.
I didn't mind the pick. He was a seventh round pick. Super raw guy. Nice physical ability. He's a project, but
okay, cool. Well, yeah, nice win for the Bengals.